start with a prayer.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just give me it's a few months because spirit are drawing near. I can feel them and the hairs on my arms are beginning to stand up. So spirit are close. Give me a smile, please. That's better. Thank you. God.
Sorry.
That's all right. I know my face is enough to put people off. I do look more like a mugger than a medium, you know what I mean? People cross, in the night, people cross the road and they say, no me. Then they go the other way. But never mind. Right. Wahasti wakantanka mitakaiwi yasin. Our Great Spirit, we ask for your love and guidance and protection of this our gathering. We ask for wisdom and mostly we ask for love. In your name. Aho. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, the reason, just explain. My guide, my main life guide is Ugalala Lakota. And so and in the native tradition, you honour your elders and your ancestors. So he is my elder and he is my guide. So although I'm of Cherokee, or to us it's Salagi or Anigadua, that's what we call ourselves. Because he's Lakota, Ugalala Lakota, so when I do my prayer, I say it in the Sioux language. And that's to honour him, honour my guide. You see? And so that's the reason why that, and it says, calling in the Great Spirit, which is Wakantanka, the Great Spirit, and then Mitakayu Yasi means all my relations, which means the four-legged, the two-legged, the third, the insects, human beings. So, and that's by starting every prayer with that, I'm honouring my guide. So when he comes in, all right. So if you'll excuse me, I'm just going to take it up. It's all right. It will come off. That's it. Right. Just bear with me for a couple of minutes. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It is a pleasure to be here. We have asked the instrument to do these trance evenings, to pass on the knowledge, and so that people may ask us directly. So please feel free, if you have questions. And does anyone have any questions?
What happens after you die?
It depends upon the circumstances of your death. The instrument sister, she passed away in her bed, but the cancer that she had drained her. So it made her very tired. So when she finally moved over to my side of life, she was greeted by family and then taken to a home of rest where she will recuperate, and then she'll be back to visit the family. That is what normally happens with people. So she is surrounded by family and friends in the world of spirit. Just a home of rest is a more spiritual form of hospital. But you do not use any instruments. It is all about love, all about healing, and all about regaining one's energy. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you have another question?
No.
Is it scary for when we pass away that we don't know where we are going? It must be very frightening, isn't it? How are we going to deal with that?
No, you will be met by someone who knows you. One of the things you have to understand is during your sleep state, you travel over to the etheric plane. And there in the etheric plane, or as it's sometimes called the family plane, you meet your loved ones. Some people are, it is like sleepwalking through a mist. But they sense, but those on earth, sometimes do not wake up there, but when they are past, the day they passed, they never pass alone. There will be a loved one there, or there will be a friend that will receive them and guide them. If they are ignorant of the world of spirit, and they have a notion of a Christian belief, or any form of religious belief in a very narrow view, then they will go to people of like mind. And then there will be others who on earth are of the same persuasion, the same religion, who have moved forward into the spirit world, where it is a world of love. And they will come back into their own group, and we'll try and bring them forward so that they leave behind all those notions on earth. Okay?
Thanks.
You're welcome. But no one dies alone. But the spirit body can feel shocks when you have an accident and you're ejected from your physical body before your time. And so you'll be in shock and stunned, so people will be there to meet you and to take you to a home of rest. And over a period of time, it will be explained to you what's happened to you if you have no knowledge of it. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Please, Phil, just ask questions.
Achieve and maintain happiness.
I beg your pardon?
Achieve and maintain happiness.
Achieve and maintain happiness.
Yeah.
Yes, and?
How do you maintain with a lot of dark? Trying to avoid the dark side of things, but with the dark side of things that we see that go on,
Yes.
or that are perceived to go on,
But
and with our surroundings and people that are maybe negative, but you want to keep a positive mind, you want to maintain.
Well, one of the things you do is, if you've had your proof that there is no death, then a lot of what goes on in the world will not touch you, because you're only here temporarily to learn and to grow, to be, suffer, but also to love, to be loved. Because the physical plane is a place where it happens almost straight away. You have choices. And in your life, when you pass over, like attracts like, you go to the place you make fit for yourself with others of like mind. And there are many rules and regulations and many words spoken. The instrument asked us a long time ago, and always we gave him this answer. he lived the life of a warrior. And that should be enough for now. And so, but he asked, how do you walk in the light? It's very simple. If you can do good, do good. If you can do bad, do nothing, walk away. You treat people how you want to be treated, unconditionally, not on condition of how they treat you, because it is your spirit, your soul that is fed. You are here in ways they say 80 years and 10. But you are spirit, you are eternal. Once you come to understand this, that you're so much more than what your teachers have said, that you are spirit, you're here to learn to be housed within a physical body. And your soul is the light of Creator or God. That is the part that is God. To put that energy, that seed of life into the spirit, and the spirit was born into the physical body to learn. There's a great misconception about reincarnation. Some can accept it, some can't. Think of it this way. Look back to when you was 5 years old and you played with your toys. Look back to when you was 8 and 9 and you had your bikes, and then you rode and explored. Then you become a teenager and discovered the opposite sex, and then the trouble started. And then you go on to your 20s and you perhaps have a family, start a family, your responsibilities, and then you go on to your 40s, 50s, 60s, and 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s even, and then you pass. But you raise children, you raise grandchildren, but that's all you. You are a child. You are and were a child of 2 and 3, 4 and 5. And then you grew, but that's all still you. And that is how, in some ways, you can explain reincarnation, because it is different aspects of you that come forth.
Is your whole life planned out for you?
No. As you're born, you're going to die. You're going to fall in love. You're going to have a heartbreak. Whatever comes in between is down to you or other people. Free will. The true plan is for all of you to live in peace and love, to help to raise up the vibration. That is why, as they said, many are called and few are chosen. 7 billion people on this planet. How many are spiritualist mediums? How many work for spirit in an open way, rather than the confines?
So death can come at any time then?
Yes. Of course.
Is death planned out or not?
No. That is, once again, it is when your body is ready. If you treat your body as the temple that it is, because it is a gift from the Great Spirit, then you will prolong, barring accidents, other people's free will of whether they're going to blink or look away while they're driving and run you over, or you choose not to look. You will go forward in life and live to a ripe old age. But it is always, there is free will involved. Are there any questions?
What's our Creator's real name?
We say the Creator, but it is the names you wish to give him or her.
Is there a
You are part of the Great Spirit. Even Mother Earth has a spirit. If it did not have a spirit or a soul, it would be dead. To have no spirit and no soul is to be dead. So even Mother Earth, and she is your mother, as she was my mother when I walked this earth. She gave me food, she gave me cover, she gave me comfort. And by growing the grass in the spring, bought the buffalo, and we would hunt the buffalo and take what we need. So Mother Earth provided the buffalo that we made robes from, we made teepees. So, and all of the animal was used. And when we took that life, we prayed for that life. We said thank you for the spirit of the animal giving itself up to feed us. But that is my past when I lived on the earth plane.
Is there life anywhere else on Earth
Life anywhere else where?
than Earth?
Yes, of course. It is so far away. That's shocked you, hasn't it? But all living things have souls and spirit. So no matter, even if you have, and some of the lives of other places are so diverse. I've never been there, but I've met them in my realm, where I live. But wherever you go in any place, it is the same. You have family, you wish to provide for the family. Some, rather than work for it, they covet what others have, but they still have a love for their children.
This free will you talk about that everybody has, the earth herself must have this free will, and I wonder about when you talk about the American Indians living on the land and taking what they need but honouring those things. We're not doing that anymore for the most part, and I just wonder if what we're doing is our free will and we're destroying the earth, and what about her free will, and how we're all going to move forward, what's what's going to happen with 7 billion people, as you've said, where we're going to go forward in the earth. Are we ever going to get to that place where we live in love and peace and harmony?
I could not tell you that, but at the moment you're far from it.
Yeah.
But you must understand that Mother Earth is not a thinking entity. It is the soul and spirit of life on this planet. It does not, the seasons roll through, and human beings on this planet, of what you do and the destruction, you are parasites. Because you are destroying yourself. It is so easy. you're creating things that have no spirit, no soul. Corporations. People fight against corporations. People say this or that. Corporations are made to make money. They are there for material gains for the people that run them. So do not blame the corporation. It is the people behind it that are destroying the earth. And no one is free of that guilt of what you all do. Because of the way you live. You cannot help but impose on Mother Earth. When my people, not only mine, but all indigenous peoples around the world, lived in harmony with wherever they lived, there is an abundance amongst the native peoples of Australia, of New Zealand, and also in Turtle Island or America. There is an abundance of diabetes, there is abundance of alcoholism and drug taking amongst indigenous peoples. And because that is all what the white man brought. They brought that over, and the food become processed and the food become unnatural. So 200,000 years man has lived with nature. And then the last 70 to 100 years, it has changed the way it lived. Processed foods, additives, and that will affect all. If here on your country and in Europe, I've spoken with the instrument many times, and I've spoken with others. Before the advent of the potato, you had parsnip, turnip and swede. Those three were your staple diets. The Native Americans had squash, corn and beans, the three sisters. The South Americans had the potato. And once that spread, that is when a lot of the problems started. So to go back to being natural, it is eat the food that you have grown up with, or that your ancestors have grown with. It is all partly, none is separate, it is all part of it. I ramble, please forgive me. Do you have any questions?
This is the reason why almost everybody are getting cancer and all other diseases that, I mean, we just keep getting ill.
Yes, it contributes to it. Do you have a question, young lady?
Who's behind the whole kind of thing of humans are kind of slaves and we've kind of been governed without realising?
Greed.
Who's ultimately behind that?
People. People greed. They do something, they get away with it. They do something more, they get away with it. And people bury their heads in the sand. It is greed. Greed for power, greed for money, greed for control.
So you think the sole drive behind it is kind of earth-based then? Is that what you're saying? Or?
No, there will always be bad people who are in spirit who will come and influence and try to influence those with a gift for negativity and try to influence them for the bad because they're angry and sensitive people. They say that most great leaders, chairmen and directors, very successful, they actually show the traits of serial killers. The trait is they're very clever, they're very single-minded, and they are very careful, neat and tidy. And those people are a touch sociopath because they're able to separate themselves, and they see money, they see objects, but they see people as an object or to be used, whether it's they pay them a wage or not, because they have ambition and they have a driving force to succeed. But there are lower plane spirits that regret passing over. They're angry. And sometimes they attach themselves to people. And they want to hurt. Okay? I hope that's been of help.
Yes.
Do you have another question? If you do not feel that I've answered the question satisfactorily, say so, I will go back and confer.
Is there a way of stopping yourself from doing bad things if you're influenced?
Yes, you have free will. You fight it. It's called temptation.
Can I ask you something? Sorry.
Please.
I feel like there's a spirit next to me. It's like I'm getting goosebumps like literally every 10 seconds, but I'm not cold.
I'm sorry, you will have to speak louder.
Oh. I feel like there's a spirit next to me. I'm not sure if it's a spirit, but I'm getting goosebumps every 10 seconds, but I'm not cold.
Yes, here.
Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah, like literally all the time.
Yes, there are spirit people who will be around you.
Yeah.
That is why it is wise to join a circle and learn to meditate and close down and open up. Time and place.
Makes me feel tired here as well.
I beg your pardon.
Honestly, it makes me feel tired. I feel drowsy for some reason.
There is no one way. Each person is different. But the goal is to walk a good path. Be the best of your abilities. You're going to fail, as we've all failed, whether we're in my world or your world. But the mere act of trying changes things. It brings you into the light. It really is that simple. That's why people on your plane of existence do not get it. because it was hijacked by a few smart people and used for their own ends. Why is there strife? Why is there still strife on your planet? I have been gone over 120 years. The most mankind can say is that they have become better at killing each other. But there are so many others, things that are so great that the human race can do. Growing food in places where it's normally impossible. Medical advances that are inspired your scientists from the scientists on our side. Just because they passed away does not mean they lose their interest in science. They just look at it from a different point of view. And many a breakthrough has come through the inspiration from scientists in my world who inspire.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
When people are very wicked, I'm talking about cruelty.
I understand.
Cruelty to animals and cruelty to other people and abuse of children.
Yes.
All the horrible things. What happens when they pass?
They go to a place they make fit for themselves. And what happens is everything they've ever done will come back to them. All the pain they've inflicted, they will feel. Every iota of pain. No one is immune from it. As we sow, so shall we reap. All our memories of what we've done in our life will come back. The bad and the good, the indifferent, it will all come back to us. And depending on the state of our heart, whether in my world or your world, the state of your heart and how you feel about those things, you will still feel that pain. You will still pay. But you inflict it upon yourself. No one inflicts it upon you. There are no shortcuts. No matter what they do on earth, or how many blessings you receive, it has no control. Because the law is the law.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Can I ask, I'm still a bit confused about reincarnation. So do you reincarnate? Do people reincarnate?
You have a choice.
How long before you've died do you reincarnate?
It can be any time. It is purely free will, because you must remember, the person that is making that choice has now come back home to the world of spirit. So they are seeing it through the eyes of spirit, not through the eyes of a human. But they have a broader context to look at. Plus they look at the Akashic records. So, and they will get help. There will be someone there that they will talk to, and they will discuss it. And if it be so, then it will happen. However, it's for the best of them to learn and to share and to care and to give. I'm going to leave now. We'll have, if that is okay with you, my friend. There is other here, as you know. John Paul will be coming to speak. But I bid you well. Welcome to my world eventually. But I bid you a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was my main life guide, that was.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
How did you first connect with that? I mean, what took you on that trance
I was
channel?
born with it. Oh, the trance had come naturally. I went to sit, I was invited to sit in Derek Shearman's circle at 15 because my gift was strong. It's all right. We've got part 2 as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a cigarette in a minute and then. Yeah, exactly what we just.
And I went to sit in circle, and I woke up and I said, "Sorry, Derek, I fell asleep," because I had a very physical job when I was 15. And he said, "No, that's fine." He said, "Listen," he played the tape, and there's the voice coming out and all this wisdom and all this stuff. I said, "Who?" He said, "That's you." I went, "No." So I found all these things are. I come back to do this work. I know that because I had a lot to make up for, I suppose. But that's why I've never found it hard.
Because it's your pathway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my
And
path.
I think sometimes people forget that because people try hard sometimes to be something they're not.
It's not, yeah.
And it's wasteful of your energy, isn't it?
Yeah,
if it's right, it's often
it's
in the flow.
yeah.
Isn't it?
The worst part for me is developing a conscience. That's what I grew a conscience. Because my mediumship, I mean, you know, I was born with it, so I could just go. Nothing spiritual about it, right? As I said, spiritual is your own path. It's nothing to do with your gift. And then, but as you grow, you start developing a conscience and start understanding right from wrong, and it's the small things. It's not the big things. It's the small things.
Yeah.
And it really is and all the lot of things that you've done start resurfacing in your meditation.
So are they trying to evolve in character up there? Is that the purpose of spirit guides coming down and being a
Yeah,
guide
to evolve. Yeah, to evolve spiritually. You know.
And they take the lessons back up there?
Sorry.
Is it the same thing? They take the lessons back?
Yes, up there. Yeah, you go to school, you go to work, you be of service. It's about being of service. When my sleep state, I go with a group and go down to the lower planes to help people that are on the cusp of coming out of the dark, who have paid their dues and they're ready to walk across the bridge to come up. And a lot of times they need to go to a home of rest. Well, because I'm still on earth, it resonates with them because they're denser, the spirit is denser, and so they resonate with me as someone still living. See, rather than a spirit person that comes, although there are a group of I work with, a lot of times they can't be seen by the spirit I'm dealing with, but I'm being given guidance in my ear by the guides and the people whose job it is to look after them and help them, to actually help bring them out into the light. But sometimes they're too scared.
That's lovely.
And other times there's others there controlling them that want to control them. People of like mind, and stop them.
So what do you mean controlling them?
Through the mind, through the thought, because the spirit world is a place of thought.
Yeah.
Right? Well, when you go down to people of like mind and you go down, there are people down there. There are bad people, okay, and they will be exactly the same there. The second you die, you're the exact same person. In that 1 second, from this life to the spirit life, you do not change. You are still that same person. Whether you're backstabbing, two-faced and nasty, or whether you're a person with indecisions and nerves and everything, you're still that same person. It's up to you to walk that journey, but there will be help there, unfortunately, which is not on this earth, given to people on this earth, the problems. But there will always be someone there.
Why don't we have in this earth?
Sorry?
Why don't we have here? is that?
Because it's down to material. It's a material world, and people concerned with money. Don't really need it. I mean, the Native Americans, before the white man come, my ancestors didn't have tax. They didn't have homelessness. They didn't have hunger. Well, they went hungry when the time was bad, but they go out hunting. And they didn't have disease.
Yeah, we brought them.
Yeah, the white man did, yeah.
The chief of Seattle say we borrow the land from our children. When he gave the ship to Seattle in America, Canada, when he gave the land to give up to the European Americans.
Yeah.
He say there's a beautiful words that he say. One sentence was like, "We borrow the land from our children."
Yeah, well,
because there was no respect. They knew the Americans won't have any respect.
oh yeah,
for land.
the natives knew that the land, the land was their mother.
No one can own the land.
No, the land owns you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're part of the land, and the land is part of you, but you are part of the land.
Yeah, we are.
I mean,
like the plant.
my tribe of Woodland, the Lakota, you got the Sioux Nation, Comanche, Kiowa, loads. There's over 500-600 tribes. There was over 2,000 tribes. There was 5,000 tribes one time, but they got cut down a bit. The white man had a bit of a cold because they wanted the land.
Terrible.
But it's part of life. The history of the world. I know they focus on that, but the history of the world is history is written by the conquerors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So what you're saying as well, and another thing as well, obviously from drug abuse when I was younger, I've done my head in a little bit. So will my mental issues go with me when I pass that? Is that what you're saying, or will I be sorted again?
No, you'll be okay. You go. You'll be able to leave them behind.
So you don't go over with anxiety and all the other issues that you.
Yes, you do, but it's not the same because you're spirit, you're eternal. You leave all that behind because there isn't. What's the issues? What's the stress? What's the issues? You're dead. You're relaxing in a place
it's
that's
a
lovely.
physical issue as opposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I mean, when people pass over who smoke, they still have that longing for a cigarette, but they can't smoke.
No.
Oh, never.
I was told that.
That's true, yeah.
Drank too much.
Some people do try that, and same as alcoholics, yeah. Because I bet you everyone here has a friend who they're a really nice person. They have one or two drinks, and all of a sudden it's a changing personality.
My dad.
Yeah, well, that person is open, and there are earthbound spirits that love to drink and drugs, and they're dead, and they feel all of it. They feel the want, the need, because they refuse to accept. So what happens is that they will gather around places where there's drink and where there's drugs, and they will influence, and they will, it's called an attachment, people call them attachments, but they will try and be within the aura of the person so that they can fulfill themselves.
Yeah.
But their anger, and the anger they carry, because they refuse to admit anything, and of course all of a sudden it transfers over to that sensitive person. And all of a sudden when you have a drink and it opens you up, and you've got a crowd of these angry alcoholics from in the spirit world influencing you, and all of a sudden you've got a different person because bang. Some have been.
Yeah.
So it's the
And it's true because they are like a different person when they've had a drink.
Yeah. Right, do you wanna my guy John Paul's ready.
Would you?
John Paul said he's gonna come and say hello. He's different to my first guy because he actually walks and talks because he's a healer. Yeah, as I said, it took a long time to develop the gift of where he can link in. And if you ask him about it, rather than me repeat it all, you can ask him the questions about how he does it and how spirit how trance works, and you can ask him all that rather than me. So, please excuse me a moment. Good evening. May I hear your voices, please?
Hello.
Good evening.
Thank you very much. It just helps me to settle in. Oh, that's better. Good evening, everyone. Please excuse me as I just fully adjust. There, that's better. I normally get up and walk, but the instrument, as I was standing there, the instrument said about this, so that's fine. I will sit and stay. Anyway, good evening, everyone. It really is a pleasure to meet you. And you have a lovely healing light around you. You will make a wonderful healer. Yeah.
Actually do kind of do that a little bit.
That's why it's so strong. But if you allow yourself to immerse yourself in it, it will be stronger. Brighter. Trust yourself more. So, I was standing listening to, and there were some lovely questions, but does anybody have any questions for me at all?
I've got a question.
Yes.
Mark was explaining about attachments. So how, if you're a medium or a sensitive person, how do you protect yourself from negative attachments?
You close down and you cleanse. The way we have taught the instrument, it's all to do with your mind. And so when the instrument's in circle and he's teaching, he will tell people that it's visualization to clean what you call your chakras. Because a lot of what is done is not really needed, but because the human psyche is such, it needs that foundation and that strength to do that. So you have, yes, I can tell them. So all of you, what you need to do if you want to cleanse yourself, one way is to imagine yourself walking into the river. And as you walk into the river, you can turn upstream. And as you walk and allow it to cover you, you allow it to take off your outer clothes, your outer skin, and let it all drift away, all the rubbish, and let it cleanse through your chakras. From open your crown chakra, your third eye, your throat chakra, your heart chakra. You have your solar plexus, the lower dantium, which is between your belly button and your groin, and then you have your base chakra. But also you have the chakras on your organs, which really are irrelevant for what you do. But a lot of people, when they cleanse, they feel it here in the solar plexus, and they even feel sick, as I've come to understand through the instrument. So the other way, and then after you've done that, you step out of the river, and then you picture yourself wrapped in a cloak of feathers, and then imagine just zipping yourself up. This is what the instrument has been taught by us. And you imagine yourself being zipped from there all the way up above your head. And if you wish more, you can then add 10 gold rings all the way around you. And that will close you down. And as you become more experienced, you will do it another way. And the cleansing, if you come in at night, the instrument does it whenever he walks into a place. The instrument feels as if the outer, like a large overcoat, and he stands, and as he walks forward into to whatever building he's going into, he shrugs it off. So on the journey, all the things that have gone on the journey, or the people he's met, or those driving and hasn't been very spiritual to, he leaves it at the door. He doesn't bring it in with him. He just walks in and imagines that there is a waterfall just washing everything away. So he walks in, and all the journey and everything is just all washed away. And that is how he does it. And that is why when you get stressed, he doesn't stress. Anything else?
How does trance work?
How does trance work? Mine personally, you have between your body and your spirit body, there is what I call a silver cord. Once that cord is cut, you are dead. There's no coming back, no reanimating a body. Once the spirit leaves the body and that cord is cut, it will never come back. But in the meantime, during your out of body, when you're sleeping, then you can actually travel anywhere because it is limitless. But whether you remember or not. And so, if with the instrument, what I do, prepare, is we take him out of body and he's actually asleep, just over there. That's where he is. If you was to get up and walk there and put your hand by the wall, you will feel a vibration. I know it's cold here, but you will feel a vibration. That is where there are 4 people with the instrument on what you would call a gurney or bed, and they are helping him to stay asleep. Because it's a natural instinct that if something invades your body, you will come back into your body, and as you come back, whatever is in there will be slammed out, but it will make you very sick. What I do is, as he's put to sleep, I then adjust my vibration to the silver cord. And so if you imagine I hold the silver cord and adjust my vibration to the silver cord, and then I just come along behind and then just slide into and take over. We leave the autonomous over the years of this with others who have been doing trance work through the years. We learn off one another. So we've learnt to leave the autonomous systems in the mind alone. Cough, itch, scratch. Especially the type of the trance work that I do with my guides and with him. So I have guides as well. And so they are around me, they are around the instrument. But we learn to leave the autonomous systems alone. And then I come in and inhabit his body. But he has to agree. There is no taking over voluntarily. There is no involuntary takeover. To this level, it has to be an agreement. He has to trust us. And he does, and I'm very privileged. I've been waiting for him a long, long time. You wouldn't believe how many years. To come to this point and for him to work with me, to work with him, it's more years than you would imagine. But yes.
Do you enjoy coming back to the earth plane?
I enjoy working with the instrument because I feel his joy. I feel his joy. It's sad that we have to come back because you see, before the advent of modern man, you lived with nature, and it was there. And then, before, especially in your country, here in Britain, you had the Druids. Well, they lived with nature. They lived with nature. I myself, I lived by the Red Sea. I was a Jew. But the Romans, when they conquered us. But my father was an apothecary, did herbs and healing, but I wanted to see the world.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stay in a dry, dusty place. I wanted to see the world, the restrictions. And so I joined the Roman Legion. And if you join the Roman Legion and you serve for 25 years, at the end of that 25 years, you become a Roman citizen and all the rights thereof. Unfortunately, it didn't happen to me. The Romans were very wise. They took the people from the east in their legions and they sent them to the west. And those from the west, they sent to the east. And that way, they would never fight their own people. And I was killed on Hadrian's Wall. And that's where I was when I was killed. And then I waited all that time and learnt, and then one day the instrument was there at the Temple of the Sun, and that was my time to meet with him 30 years ago, so almost 2,000 years.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you say anything about angels? Because they're an experience for a lot of people, aren't they? And
Yes, but it is what the mind...
or what they're doing.
Right. As regards the angels depicted in your paintings, there are no such things. But because, like a lot of things over the years, you've been taught, and it becomes a narrow vision that there must be. When those spirits first appeared, because if you go through a lot of the books with the Hindus, there were supposedly angels, people in the sky. Well, the only things that flew were birds. So if you had a bright golden halo around, the only interpretation would be that there is a man in the sky and he's got wings. And that is how it was seen. And then, of course, you had the Raphaelite time when all the pictures were done and all the religious pictures. And then, of course, they started drawing angels and cherubims and seraphims. But they're just high beings. They are beyond the earth. For them to come back, it would take them many years because they would have to close themselves down. When we come back to the earth plane, to this earth plane, or even near it, we have to take on who we were, which we have left behind. But it's no good because of the vibration, so you need to adjust to the vibration. And the spirit world is a world of vibration, of you have many levels. It goes on even, I don't know how many. But I've progressed for my own personal self, my personal progression. I've been very, very privileged to be of service and work high. The main life guide of the instrument is very high. But we choose to stay here to help, to be of service. But occasionally at holiday times and other times, celebration times, then we will actually go to our true home, which takes time to do because you must adjust and speed up as you go through the spheres. Because that is what keeps the order within the spheres, while the lower cannot go to the higher. The lower and the basis of people cannot get to the higher because of the vibration of the spheres. But the higher can go to the lower. You can always fall back, but then you can always go forward as well. Okay? And sometimes in your journey, when a person that passes over near Earth, and as they've helped in the community that they're in, they're ready to move forward. And so what they would do is, in some ways, it would be like them walking up a hill. They would just be walking up a road or walking through a garden, and they would just feel a change, a lightness. They would feel lighter. Because here it is very heavy around the earth. And that is how it works. Do you have a question, sir?
So, how do you
Just put it.
view the Bible, the Old Testament?
That was written by men. There was inspiration in all books. There is inspiration from the world of spirit. But you've got to remember that that was written over 2,000 years ago. The first true words, something like 3,000 years ago. And that was written for those times. Look at the difference now. You don't need books now. When those things first come about, it was for guidance. But the people that wrote those books lived in a time and they give their own versions. There's no true version. And that is why it seems to us to be so wrong. But you must remember the time, and it is a continuous march to try and bring that light of spirit. Because in those days, there were small communities, and they were very much insular with one another, tribal. And they would work support. If there was a widow or an orphan, the whole tribe would work and support and be spiritual and uplift, protect and shelter, which is the height of goodness from human beings. But they still had their laws that they put down and their interpretation of what they were given. Because there is no perfect communication. Even I fight the influence of the instrument. You know, I say fight. I'm very aware of allowing, although he's asleep, there is a lot there from the subconscious. Because I have to come through the higher mind, down through the subconscious, out to the conscious. And so doing that, there is still influence there if I'm not careful. And the idea of meditation and practice is so that I can bring a more truer when I speak, rather than allow the influence of the instrument. Does it make sense? Do you understand? Sometimes...
I'm not saying I've studied the Bible, but it's always been there in my life, in and out.
The best of it.
It's like, but it can be a book of knowledge, not so much religion.
No, it is a book of knowledge, yes. But you've got to remember that you have free will to choose and to think. And that is what you do. And when you read something there that does not appreciate, the Old Testament was very much an eye for an eye. The instrument does not regard the Bible as any book as religion, because they always have vengeance and they always have killing. You see? Well, that is not a religion. That is how he views it. But being as he's passed, he's very coloured, the instrument, how he sees things in the name. I know he won't mind me speaking about it, but he was in Northern Ireland, and he was in there a few times. And the name, and he saw what religion does. You know, so, but I myself personally, where we are, there are no books. There are books there, and if you wish to follow those books, you will, but you will keep yourself, you will be kept away from the rest of the people who follow the light of Creator, the light of God, if you like, and those with wisdom that come to teach love, to teach service. They do not teach religion. The Nazarene never preached religion. He preached service and love. The instrument lives the native way, whereas the way I look at things and understand things, but we're compatible in a lot of ways. Because where I live, the thought is the deed and the act. And it is one of love. And people take great pleasure in growing things to give, you know. We have apple trees and plants and flowers and all those things, but they have a different way of reacting on us. They give us energy. They nourish the soul and the spirit and help uplift and heal. Whereas here you eat to survive. We do not need to. We have that golden light that shines upon us, that nourishes us from Creator. From that. And when you have that, you don't need any book.
No, I hear what you're saying. That's
They all have their good points. It is just that once you understand that there is life after death, they become irrelevant. They really do become irrelevant. Because if you sit and you meditate and you ask and you sit quietly, you will then become aware of what is right and wrong at a fundamental level. You know, you do not need a book to tell you how to live.
Sorry to put in, because I feel like there's like an internal thing inside me that tells me if things are right and wrong.
Yes.
You just feel it.
Yes, it is your conscience.
Yeah.
A word for it is your conscience.
Without even needing to think about it, you just know, kind of thing.
Yeah, that is.
Built in, it's like a connection with another, you know, source or something.
Yeah, that is correct. The instrument knows. He knows that he's done wrong. See, I am not perfect. I live in a perfect world. But I am not perfect. I sometimes become frustrated with the instrument because there is so much more within him. So much more. But we work on love. But it is also very matter of fact. You know, there are laws that have to be obeyed. Spirit laws. So, and those laws are exact. But the instrument, to do this, the instrument must make himself fit for use. So that means that he couldn't stay where he was in his mindset. He had to start seeing a broader picture and start acknowledging and accepting. And it is what you call a conscience. Because it's being aware that there is so much more and that there is right and wrong. And that is the life that all people need. It is meditation and contemplation. You know, problems people cannot see, but the problems are sometimes caused by outside forces. But how you react to them. See, there is always an answer. It might not be an answer that you wish to know on a decision. It might not be an answer that you wish to enact. But there is an answer. but you see it from outside and not from the human perspective, but the spiritual perspective. And from my side, I have a problem, or I think there's something, I will go to my guides and I will ask them, my teachers, and I will ask my teachers for help, and they will help me to arrive at the answer. But I do it even as you do here. Do you understand? Is there another question?
You said just now about like feeling power and vibrations and things.
Yes.
Is there any way that like we can draw ourselves in to feel that as well, or?
It's opening up to it, relaxing. If by relaxing and meditation you open yourself up, the instruments, as he spoke earlier on when we were standing there discussing how this will go, he said when he's doing his work, he says bring him the people that need him. But when he works with us, the prayer he says is, allow me to be of service. And in doing so, he relaxes his subconscious and he relaxes himself. So we're able to work with him. We could anyway, but this way, by the trust that we have with one another, enables me to come through like this. Even now, there is an influence of him. But when my niece first met me, she just couldn't get her head around it. As you know, the instrument of long standing, the difference, someone said something, she said, well, I know her word. What were her words? We were standing at the instrument. He was very, he was joking with her, and he said, yes, that I am he, and it's all an act. Someone's going, oh really? And my instrument is standing there with his niece, and she's turned around and said, I know that's not you, Uncle Mark. I said, why? He said, you could never be that nice. And they laughed. And it is, but he can. And he is. That is why we can use. But he's a private person. And it's a way to be, as with myself and with others.
Sort of that connection, if you know what I mean.
You can do that connection. It is meditation. The secret is meditation, relaxation and meditation. And that is the secret to it. The instrument meditates 3-4 times a week. Plus he meditates when he takes his 2 circles. So by doing that, he asks them to draw close. I don't always come because as his healing guide, I'm not necessarily needed to be there. But the teachers who work with him and those who work around him to protect the circle and his fledgling guides, they will come in and they would say to his life guide, they would turn around and give a request so that the people in the circle, so that they can see how the progress of their people, of their instruments, as they're learning. So he will then, they will convey to him what's required in the circle that night or that day, and he will do that. In one of the meditations that he takes, he will do that. And so that those who are sitting ready to work from the world of spirit will get an idea of how well their instrument is doing.
Is your realm, is it on a globe spinning around the sun?
No. No. Because we live in a world of spirit, the light fulfilled, there is no sun. It fulfilled, it's very hard for you to understand, but when you step out through the veil and you come out into sunlight, imagine the best of every day, standing on your mountains or your hills on a beautiful sunny day. Imagine the best of that. Now multiply that thousands of times. And that is what you have. You don't need to sleep because you're spirit. You draw from where I live in my realm. I've never really spoke about my realm. But if I have been working with the instrument and I decide I need to go home to the place that I am deserved of through my service, I have a garden and there are some of the most beautiful. For every single plant on earth, there are 1,000 that have never been on earth. And every colour, there are 1,000 colours that have never shown on earth. And I go into my garden, and I suppose the spirit version of a rose, and it's open, and I cup it, and I just breathe in, and the energy pours into me, and it reinvigorates me. And by the time I walk down my path to where I live, because you can have a house if you wish, you can have a cottage. If you're deserving of it, you will get it. It will be made available for you. But where I live very simply in an open plan, and I'm surrounded by flowers. And I sit sometimes, and I have at the back, and I get people that come to visit. I don't have a gate, and I don't have a wall. It is within the people that are on the same level as I. They know that that there are boundaries. It is all part within you, and so some of them will knock or call out. They will know I'm there, and I will sense them. But always it will be an invitation. I'm not there now in mind, but if someone wants to go and sit amongst my flowers, and go and sit by the pool and the pond, you know, and the fountain, and just enjoy it, because as the fountain comes, it's musical. The flowers, when that little zephyr breeze just comes across, there are music from the flowers. It is incredible. And that is where I live. And I also see my family. I'm still in contact with people that are close to me when I was alive, and so that's my place to live. The instrument, one or two of the helpers who are native, they actually live on the plains. They have a plains, and they don't hunt anymore, obviously, but they're surrounded by the bison or by the wolves, and they live the way they would have lived on earth, because before the white man it was perfect for them. But eventually even they will move on from that. See? But there is no rush. There's no one there forcing you. When you grow, you get there's an urge inside to do more, to be more. And it comes, it's just having, and it is a very small, still voice. Okay, my friend?
How do I discover what my life purpose is on earth, and does it change over the course of my life?
Your life purpose?
Yeah.
Your life purpose is to live, to love. That is to discover who you are. That is your life's purpose, is when you're in a position to do good, do good. When you're in a position to do bad, do nothing. And walk away. Because this journey is for you. And along the way you're going to interact with people. But it's about your spirituality. Okay? Some people, the instrument had a purpose. You know, he come back. He would never say, and I've told people this, in a way he regards himself rather like John the Baptist. Now remember, he is not a Christian. The instrument is not a Christian. I wasn't a Christian. I was actually a Jew. Now, one of the excuse me a moment. Yes. Thank you. It's okay, there is a there, that's better. Sorry, the instrument was becoming uncomfortable over something, and so it's disrupted. I do apologise, I've totally lost my train of thought. Would you remind me of what we were talking about? Yes. Yes. The instrument's purpose was to come back and to be like John the Baptist, which is to go forward. And because of his nature and who he is, he would flatten the path, flatten the grass, break open the doors, so that these are his words, so that those who come behind are more gentler, more kinder, don't have the struggles and trials and tribulations that he had. Because obviously the more sensitive you are, even something small that can hurt you. And so that's how he regards himself. You know? And that is, all people, especially women, are healers. It is very facet that they are healers. So yes. But, does that answer your question? It is your free will. You have, the overriding thing is your free will. What do you want to do? You know, you are influenced by your family, your culture, the way you live, your education. You're influenced by all of this. And that is why you need to take time, step away into a quiet place. Look at what your goals and ambitions. It is fine to have ambition, but be spiritual about it so that it does not hurt others. But a lot of people in different cultures, they feel obligated. They're raised to feel obligated to their family. But no, once you become of that age where you start your own karma, then the only obligation you have is to make yourself a better person. And that encompasses all things. Paying respect to parents, paying respect to siblings, to your work, and to yourself. You mustn't forget yourself. Okay? You're welcome, bless you. Is there any more questions? I think everybody's all questioned out. One thing I would tell you is that the animal kingdom, animals have spirits, animals have souls. And it's your love for the animal that keeps them their individuality. But if you've loved an animal, it will be there when you pass over.
A question about animals.
Yes.
Do animals reincarnate and progress to humans? Or?
Yes, they don't reincarnate to progress to humans. I explained before to some, if you have an animal that you love and then the animal dies, and then when you pass over as well, that animal's there to greet you. And your love for that animal, then as you progress through the spheres, the animal progresses with you as long as you still love that animal. The minute you turn around and you finish with the animal, it will return back to the group soul that it belongs to. Cows have a group soul, horses, all those wild animals have what they call a group soul. It's your individual love that creates the individuality of the animal. And so there comes a time in your progress when you cast off all remnants of a physical body. Although it's a spiritual body, but the remnants of the physical body or that and become energy. And that time you have a choice. You can send the animal back, or you can allow it with love to go on. And when it goes on, it then starts taking on the human characteristics. The spirit evolves, and then its first incarnation on earth is as a Down syndrome. That's the first incarnation. That is why if you see they have such a pure heart, 99% of the time they have a pure heart. Nothing is perfect, so it's not always, but 99% of the time they go to elderly parents and people with much love and experience. Although they don't realise it, but it's from there they've took on that role of parent for that spirit, that newborn spirit, that is only recently become aware of itself. And that is the first incarnation. And then it goes on from there, and then they progress.
What about animals? Because a lot of its species are becoming extinct. What about those animals? You know, when we go back to the dinosaur era, they must have all been in spirit at some time.
Yes, they are. There are places. There is no limit to the spirit world. There are places you can go, and you see, when you get these films that come about, they are inspired by people from the spirit world who love films, love making films. Well, when they're over there, they see something, and they will inspire someone on earth. And that film it won't be as perfect as over there, but they will inspire the directors, the writers, all those. They will be inspired from those in the world of spirit who were directors, who were writers, who love making films and love seeing people laugh, and that is how it comes about. It is time, I'm afraid, for me to go. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have meeting you all. It has been a pleasure to meet you. I will say good night.
Good night.